Coming up on State of Events, last Thursday marked 30 years since the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. Jordan Myers has a report about the 30th anniversary.
We will have the latest news on Brexit with quotes by the German Chancellor and British Prime Minister on Britain possibly leaving the EU.
And State of Events starts now. Welcome to State of Events. I'm Dylan Sutherland.
And I'm Alondra Vega. Let's get down to our top story for this week. Last week was the 30th anniversary of the Loma Prieta earthquake, striking the Bay Area on October 17, 1989 at 5:04 p.m. local time. Major infrastructure crumbled, including bridges and roads around the Bay Area, due to the magnitude 7.2 earthquake. Jordan Myers has more on the 30th anniversary of the Loma Prieta earthquake.
Thank you, Alondra. Like you said, last Thursday marked 30 years since the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. Today, many experts say we are due for another large one, or the big one. The small shakeup last Monday night reminded many of this tragic anniversary.
Park, the Battle of the Bay continues. Game 3 of the 1989.
At second base, so the Oakland A's take.
I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
Once again, a section of the upper deck has collapsed.
I need an ambulance. Hold on, I'll transfer you. Stand on.
Prepare yourselves! Shut off the gas! Shut off electricity! Store water!
Trap car, they can't move nothing like that.
63 lives were lost, over 3,000 people were injured, and property damage was estimated to have cost $6 billion. San Francisco had not seen losses of this magnitude from an earthquake since 1906. Now in the last 30 years, California taxpayers have paid in the billions for infrastructure upgrades to mitigate the damage of future earthquakes.
Californians are now at the mercy of time and the San Andreas Fault to see what happens next. Alondra?
So, do you want to know how you and your family can be prepared for a major earthquake? Well, you have to have an emergency kit and a game plan. So for an emergency kit, it can be either a duffel bag or it can also be a backpack. And your emergency kit should include all necessities you and your family might need. So here's some things you should have in your emergency kit. So that includes water, ready-to-eat foods such as canned goods, and high-energy foods. That includes granola bars, like these. It also includes peanut butter, and it also should include a first aid kit filled with adhesive bandages, scissors, gauze, pads, and soap. Tools are also important to have during a natural disaster. That includes a flashlight with extra batteries. Pliers also should include tape, a wrench, and a battery-operated radio with extra batteries, of course. And also keep spare medication in the emergency kit along with prescriptions. Lastly, you should have in your bag emergency cash, copies of legal documents, and spare clothes. The best place to keep all of your emergency kits is the place where you can easily access it in your home. Also make a game plan with your family or roommates for when an earthquake strikes. Practice earthquake drills. Plan emergency meeting spots outside of your home and create an emergency contact list. For more information about earthquake preparedness, go to ready.gov/earthquakes.
A state of emergency has been declared in Santiago, Chile as death tolls rise due to protests. What started as a protest over metro fare increase has evolved into a citywide uprising over cost of living pressures. On October 6, students began protesting mass fare hopping, but after being tear gassed by police, things have escalated into violent clashes with police, arson, and vandalism. The death toll climbed to 11 this weekend after multiple businesses and supermarkets were set on fire with people still inside. The Army has also confirmed it has shot at least 2 people suspected of looting.
Over the weekend, British lawmakers and European Union politicians met in London's Parliament to discuss and enact the final stages of Brexit. Here are important remarks on Brexit, first by the German Chancellor Angela Merkel And secondly, from British Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
It's a free decision to be taken by the members of the British Parliament. The President of the Commission and the Council will of course consult with us on the outcome of that vote. We did not negotiate the agreement in the hope it would be rejected, so to speak. But of course Boris Johnson has also said to us that he would work very hard to ensure he gets the majority.
And alas, the opportunity to have a meaningful vote has effectively been passed up because the meaningful vote has been voided of meaning. The best thing for the UK and for the whole of Europe is for us to leave with this new deal on October the 31st. And to anticipate the questions that are coming from the benches opposite, I will not negotiate a delay with the EU.
While British and European Union lawmakers engaged in politics of Brexit, calling for a second referendum on leaving the EU. Organizers believe up to 1 million people took part in the protest. Overall, the crowd was happy but determined. Brexit talks are still ongoing between Britain and the EU.
A U.S. official confirmed the largest troop withdrawal in Syria. It marks a symbolic end of the major U.S. presence in the region. U.S. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper said the withdrawal would take weeks. President Trump's decision to pull American forces out of Syria has resulted in the Turkish military launching attacks. The Secretary of Defense said on Sunday that the U.S. brokered ceasefire in northern Syria generally seems to be holding. However, the Syrian defense source says Turkish forces and their allies continue to launch attacks on Syrian villages despite agreeing to the ceasefire. Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings passed away last Thursday at the age of 68. See how people across the country are remembering him as more than just an American politician. News correspondent Jennifer Rios has the latest.
In the wake of the passing of Councilman Elijah Cummings, former colleagues including Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and his former neighbors of Baltimore have expressed their deepest thoughts on the impact of his sudden passing.
Today is a very sad day for us as we all awaken to the sad news of the passing of our dear friend, revered and respected colleague, Congressman, Mr. Chairman Elijah Cummings of Maryland, my brother in Baltimore.
Former President Barack Obama shared his condolences in a tweet saying, "Michelle and I are heartbroken over the passing of friend Elijah Cummings. May his example inspire more Americans to pick up the baton and carry it forward in a manner worthy of his service." Cummings was known for his contribution and efforts to represent his local communities, including his dedication to strengthen gun control and reforming the criminal justice system.
Congressman Elijah Cummings was the Dr. Martin Luther King for us here in Baltimore as a lifelong resident.
He lived the American dream, and he wanted it for everyone else.
Elijah Cummings will be honored in his city of Baltimore and in Washington. Events are set to begin tomorrow and go until the end of the week. In San Francisco, I'm Jennifer Rios for State of Events.
Chicago students will miss school for a fourth day as the teachers' union strike continues. 32,000 teachers and school employees continue to strike as city officials fail to resolve disagreements. The Chicago Teachers Union demands better wages, smaller class sizes, and more support staff. Chicago has the third largest school district in the United States. About 300,000 students are missing class while these strikes are taking place. Next on State of Events, find out which one of San Francisco's busiest streets will be closed to vehicles starting next year. And then,
a soccer match occurred for the first time in over 40 years between two neighboring countries still technically at war. Find out next on State of Events.
it's time to choose healthcare for your teen, you want the best. When it's time for your teen's questions to be answered, you want a professional you can trust. At Valencia Health Services, your time is well spent. We provide professional, quality healthcare. Valencia Health Services, dedicating quality time to professional healthcare because your teen's health is our first priority. Valencia Health Services. Quality time because we care.
Welcome back to State of Events.
Jennifer Rios has more on the legislative hearing that is proposing the National Museum of the American Latino Act to have its own home in the state of Washington.
It was an important day for the Latino community as the Subcommittee of the National Parks, Forests, and Public Lands heard the testimonies from representatives for the National Museum of the Latino Act.
This is a historic day for many of us who have fought for this project. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of H.R. 2420.
Representatives go on to share what purpose this museum holds.
National Museum of the American Latino will allow us to celebrate the immeasurable contributions Latinos have made to American history and share these accomplishments with visitors from across the U.S. and around the world.
If the Smithsonian is to fully serve 21st century global audiences, we will have to be more inclusive, more accessible, and more diverse. A critical part of this work is to include traditionally underrepresented stories.
Comments or appeals on the proposition will remain open for a week, and a decision will be made by the legislation for the Latino Museum Act. Reporting in San Francisco, I'm Jennifer Rios for State of Events.
Fake news is all over the internet. One place in particular, Facebook. Facebook has been under fire for the excessive amount of noticeably fake political news ads. Facebook's CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, spoke out about things in a speech given at Georgetown University, defending his firm's recent decision not to include political ads in its fact-checking program, saying people should decide what's credible, not tech companies. One of his biggest points was free speech and that he had been tempted to pull Facebook out of the political ads business entirely, as it's highly controversial and it makes up a tiny part of the company's overall revenue. He ended up deciding against it, arguing that such a decision would favor incumbent and hurt smaller and up-and-coming candidates.
Natasha Casino talked with students and faculty at San Francisco State regarding watching a controversial video involving Sandy Hook and gun control.
On December 14, 2012, the Sandy Hook mass shooting occurred in Newtown, Connecticut. The families impacted by this tragedy created the Sandy Hook Promise, which is a nonprofit organization that raises awareness about gun violence. They are now shedding light on the sad new reality of American classrooms with a new PSA.
This powerful PSA is hard to watch, but necessary. Warning, some viewers may find the images in this video disturbing.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Within hours of being posted, it was trending on Twitter with thousands of shares, which sparked a nationwide conversation. I showed this video to several students and faculty at SF State to get their opinions on it.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
The problem with that scene is that I think a lot of children and young people want to stay in touch with their parents, so I think it was a little harsh on young people.
Feeling good at first, and I thought it was like one of those JCPenney commercials where it's like back to school, like essentials.
I liked how it was the honest, brutal truth of what actually goes on, because we don't have really strict gun laws. It was a good device to use to kind of guilt those who don't believe that we should be taking away assault rifles.
Society isn't taking gun violence as seriously as it should, and I think using the youth made it that much more powerful.
I think until real people see what's really going on and not being told, hey, you know, this has been controlled or this has been contained or the shooter has been, you know, captured and arrested or the shooter has been killed, because we're only hearing the end. We need to see step by step what it does to people, those who survive and those who die.
To watch the full-length PSA, visit sandyhookpromise.org. In San Francisco, I'm Natasha Casino for State of Events.
At San Francisco State, the Center for Iranian Diaspora Studies has received an additional $1 million from alumna and Iranian-American philanthropist Neda Nobari, building upon her generous gift of $5 million from June 2016 that established the first of its kind center, administered under the College of Liberal and Creative Arts. The center is dedicated to research and teachings that examine the historical and cultural experiences of the global Iranian diaspora. The $1 million will expand Nobari's vision for the center and provide grants and fellowships that will amplify the importance of studying the impact of migration, immigration, and patterns of ethnic and racial identity formation.
One of San Francisco's busiest streets will be closed to vehicles starting next year. Market Street in downtown San Francisco will be closed to all private vehicles in an effort to increase the effectiveness of public transportation system and to increase the general safety in the area. Bad news for rideshare users: Lyft, Uber, and other rideshare platforms will be banned. Only buses and taxis will have access to Market Street. The road closure was a unanimous decision among the Municipal Transportation Agency Board with the approval of the Better Market Street project. The over $600 million initiative will significantly cut down vehicular traffic on Market's busiest strip. The project will also widen the bike lanes and make them separate from pedestrian sidewalks with benches, bike racks, and planters.
Last Tuesday, North Korea hosted South Korea in the two countries' first ever competitive match in Pyongyang against one another. However, there were no reports on the game from inside the 50,000-seat Kim Il-sung Stadium until last Thursday. That's because North Korea held the match under a media blackout, prohibiting journalists and any fans from attending. North Korea's main news outlet, the Korean Central News Agency, did report on the event, saying the game of attacks and counterattacks ended in a 0-0 draw, given the absence of video footage and reports from journalists and fan accounts from inside. The soccer world will have to take their word on it. North Korea and South Korea will face off again on June 4th for another World Cup qualifier in South Korea. Next on State of Events, a country festival is coming to California. Find out more details about the country lineup and then
find out if the 49ers could remain undefeated in their muddiest and wettest game of the season in D.C. next on State of Events.
Daddy, what is sustainability?
Sustainability?
Yeah, sustainability.
Well, it's composting.
Cool.
It's conserving water.
What about clothes?
You can reuse clothes too. Are you ready for school?
Almost done.
Welcome back to State of Events.
Natasha Casino has the latest in entertainment news. Take it away, Natasha.
Thanks, guys. It's been a star-studded weekend as many celebs said I do and even welcomed children into the world. Actress Jennifer Lawrence and art gallerist Cook Maroney tied the knot this past weekend at the Belcourt of Newport Mansion in Rhode Island. 150 people were in attendance, including Kris Jenner, Adele,
Amy Schumer, and Emma Stone. Lawrence and Maroney weren't the only celebs to get hitched this weekend. Actors Jeremy Allen White and Addison Timlin also tied the knot in a Beverly Hills courthouse. They had a small ceremony, yet a star-studded affair with the couple's good friends, actress Dakota Johnson and musician Chris Martin, serving as witnesses. Congrats are in order for Pre-Little Liars alum Shay Mitchell and her longtime partner Matt Babel as they welcome their first child together, a baby girl. The couple has yet to reveal their daughter's name. Put on your cowboy boots and your flannel shirt. The Stagecoach lineup is here. The Country Festival returns to Empire Polo Club from April 24th to April 26th. Headliners include Thomas Rhett, Carrie Underwood, and Eric Church. Other performers include Dan and Shay, Brett Young, ZZ Top, Billy Ray Cyrus, and Little Nas X. 3-day passes for the festival are available now at stagecoachfestival.com. Look out, social media, there's a new meme in town. Kylie Jenner was trending on social media this past week, and not because of a selfie, but because of her singing chops. In a YouTube video, Kylie shows us around the Kylie Cosmetics office. Towards the end of the video, she tells us the camera that she's going to wake up her daughter Stormy from her room. The camera immediately cuts to Kylie standing over the crib singing Rise and Shine, a la Ariana Grande to Stormy. Thus a new meme was born. Let's take a look.
We're gonna wake Stormy up and get out of here and show you guys her room. Rise and shine.
Video edits were made poking fun of Kylie singing Rise and Shine during random situations. Kylie is marketing off the meme by creating a sweater with the quote selling for $65 on her website. Lady Gaga was on the edge of unglory with a fan during one of her residency shows. Lady Gaga invited a fan on stage during her Enigma show in Las Vegas. They hugged, and Gaga jumped on the fan and wrapped her legs around him. The two hopped around a bit until they both fell off stage. The fan, whose name is Jack, cried after dropping an uninjured Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga consoled Jack and told him it was okay and continued the show. And that's all I have for today's entertainment roundup. Back to you guys at the desk.
So, Dylan, what do you think about Stagecoach's lineup?
Well, Alondra, you know I always got the horses in the bag.
Oh, can't nobody tell you nothing.
Thanks to Tasha for letting us know more about Stagecoach Festival. In the Sports Corner, Graham has some important news on San Francisco State sports and a recap of Sunday's NFL games, including the Niners game. Take it away, Graham.
Thanks, Dylan. We begin as usual with our campus sports. The volleyball team is in the middle of a 3-game win streak after their 3-1 win over Cal State Monterey Bay on Saturday. Peyton Jensen continued her stellar play with 44 assists, and Bailey Johnson had 16 kills in the victory. They moved to 6-3 in conference play this season. Women's soccer woes continue as they lost their 8th straight game on Sunday and fell to 0-7 in conference play. Emily Khalil scored early for the Gators, but Cal State East Bay scored twice in the second half to secure the 2-1 victory. The men's soccer team bounced back from last week's 5-1 loss and won both on Friday and Sunday, 1-0 and 2-1 respectively. Soccer continues on Friday against Cal State San Bernardino. Volleyball also plays their next game here Friday against Cal Poly Pomona. The NBA regular season begins tonight. I took a look at the Warriors and how the team is adjusting to a new home and a new roster. After 2.5 years of unceasing construction, the new home of the Golden State Warriors has debuted. While the organization and the fans have been expecting a new-look stadium, they got something with it they didn't expect. A new-look team. The championship banners have been brought over, and the unmistakable faces of the original Big Three are still there. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry aren't going anywhere anytime soon. The rest of the team, however, is a very different one than it has been in the past. Outside of Kevon Looney, there aren't any other repeat players from the run of dominance that took the NBA by storm once the Miami Heat Big Three broke up.
Green kicks it out. Iguodala for 3. That's good.
Andre Iguodala is now a Memphis Grizzly, and Sean Livingston has retired. Their veteran presence has now been superseded by the older Curry, Green, and Thompson. Kevin Durant left to Brooklyn to play with Kyrie Irving. Now in their places, D'Angelo Russell and Willie Cauley-Stein. 2 young players with a lot to prove, including how well they can fit in with this team and in this culture. There is a lot of mystery surrounding this Warriors team. One thing is for certain, though. This title run started with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, and they are determined to keep it going at all cost. On to football, where the 49ers outlasted the Washington Redskins in a bad weather game in which neither team could get into the end zone. The Niners defense shut out the Redskins in a sloppy game where Robbie Gould was responsible for all 9 points in the game. The Redskins attempted to defy the odds and drive down the field late, but a Nick Bosa sack followed by a slip-and-slide celebration ended the hopes for the Redskins. The 49ers have only allowed 10 points in the last 3 games combined and moved now to 6-0 for the first time since 1990. The Raiders continued their long stretch without a home game with a loss to the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers threw 5 touchdowns and ran for another in a 42-24 rout of the Silver and Black. The game started close and looked as though it might be a shootout, but the Raiders made too many mistakes, including a fumble by quarterback Derek Carr as he tried to reach for a touchdown. The Raiders haven't played a game in the Coliseum since September 15th and won't play there again until November 3rd. They play next week at the Texans. Baseball season is nearing its end. Let's take a look at what we can expect from the World Series this year.
Here's the kick now. The pitch, fastball, is hit in the air to left center field. Robles calling for it. He's under it waiting, and he makes the catch!
The Fall Classic, the culmination of 162 regular season games, a best-of-5 divisional round, best-of-7 championship series, and in the case of the Washington Nationals, a wild-card victory as well. That's just the beginning of the differences between the 2 teams that will be battling out for the World Series trophy. The Nationals beat the Brewers in the wild-card game, scoring only a single run. They then went on to defeat the Dodgers, who appeared in the last 2 World Series. The only time the Nationals were favored was against a Cardinals team that seemed to lack identity. The Astros, on the other hand, won 107 games over the regular season, the most in Major League Baseball. In the championship round, they defeated the Yankees to keep them out of the World Series for the first decade since the 1910s. This is all in addition to the fact that the team won the World Series just 2 years ago. The Astros will have home field advantage and are favored to win. This year's teams represent a classic underdog taking on a Goliath, and it looks to be an exciting series. Late October means a lot of different things to American sports fans. The NBA season is beginning. Football is in full swing. But for a seemingly constantly shrinking demographic, the most important event of the year, the World Series, begins tonight. It's the rare time when we get baseball, football, basketball, and hockey all at once. It should be a fun week. Back to you at the desk.
That's all we have for this edition of State of Events. To stay up to date with all the news around San Francisco State, follow us on all of our social media platforms.
And check out our website at stateofevents.net.
For State of Events, I'm Melandra Vega.
And I'm Dylan Sutherland. Stay golden, Gators.